Okay, so give this a minute here. Yeah, so a viewer earlier today asked if I had any Final Cola videos with commentary or just on healing, and though I try to do that on my stream, though I've tried to do that on my stream in the past, I have not been very good about it in this current tier of content. I'm usually really good about uploading POVs week to week, but I don't think I've done that in almost 2.5 months now. And I am going to just go over each turn, maybe give some idea as to my mindset going into this fight, throughout the fight, and what's just some of the basic tactics of our group. And hopefully this will help someone out there, even if it just helps the one person that asked. It's all good. So. So one thing I can't really stress enough is your HUD or your UI for your healer. That wasn't supposed to happen. Why is that happening? Music change. So yeah, you'll notice right now that I've got my party frames centralized to the left. It's kind of centered to the left. Got my focus target right above my character's head, and with the boss currently selected, and to the right I will have the enemy list. So I can look pretty much right at the center of the screen and see the most critical information that I need to see as a healer. And I also have my cast and my target bar beneath my character. So everything is very, very centralized in the middle of the screen. I can see people's, the party frame buffs, debuffs, my buffs, as far as what I have, don't have, right over the party list there, and my debuffs that are on myself are right above my focus target, central on the screen. So everything is very easy to see. I'm not having to look all the way up in the left corner and then potentially miss, or I'm late to see something that's going on. Either on or near my character. Let's say there's a giant telegraph that I'm needing to dodge. I don't have my eyes at the very top left of the screen trying to heal the group. Everything is where just where it needs to be, for at least for me personally, so that I can both focus on healing the party as well as dodging things as needed. So I'm probably gonna just stop and go a lot here, and this fight is definitely one of the easier fights in Final Coil. So we'll get started here. Is there a button to just stop? I guess I have to click on it. So normally, we normally are paladins and shield oath. Using sword oath this time, which we weren't expecting. Had I known that in advance, I would not be doing what I'm doing right now. But if he was in sword oath, or I'm sorry, shield oath, doing his normal thing, I could get my dots off like an arrow 2, arrow 1, fluid aura, and probably do like a couple stone 2 casts, and he would be okay. But that first kind of electricity kind of comb damage that he does, really did a number on him. He dropped to triple digits there. So you come out of cleric and trying to heal him up quick. So during this part, there's really not a whole lot to heal. It's pretty much that damage, auto attacks, and this damage, as long as your tank is geared and maybe popping some sort of a cooldown, it's very easy to heal. So critical rip, it's like a mini death sentence. It's just burst damage on the tank. The only thing that I do here is to make sure that I have a heal landing, if need be, on the tank as the damage is landing. But right now, I've chosen to do damage because I didn't really anticipate him taking that much because our tanks are pretty geared right now. Yeah, so that's pretty straightforward. So you can't. Let me go ahead and rewind it just a tad here, if I can at least. So we have the charge mechanic here. The person who has like the purple orb above their head, they pretty much position themselves towards the back of the arena, to the boss's rear. And the way this particular mechanic works is that person will eventually have something shot, or it'll like a little mini explosion. It'll cause a small AoE around that target, and anyone that's near that target that gets hit by it gets stunned. And then you'll see the boss have a cast bar charging this target, and you need to have a certain number of people absorb the charge damage, otherwise the people that did go in, or at the very least if no one goes in, that guy in the back, everyone's going to die. So the person in the front of the charge lane takes the most damage, so we have one of our tanks do that, and then the rest of us just stand between the charge target and the tank. Pretty straightforward. There's that AoE I was talking about that just went off. And I'm a little late to getting there, but generally what you want to do is get into position early and have a heal go off as that charge is going off. So in this case I was a little slow, but you can see here that since everyone that could get into charge pretty much got in, there really isn't that much to heal. Everyone is looking pretty good, and our off tank, he took some damage, but that's not a whole lot. So here the ad face, and the way we have this setup is on the left here, the west side of the room, we have our paladin, who I currently have targeted. He will tank those ads. He's always pretty much going to be tanking ads on that side of the room. And then we have our warrior on the east side, or the right side of the room here, tanking the other set of ads. During this time, I as the white mage are responsible for healing both of the tanks. If the scholar breaks off the DPS and one of them die, it is my fault if they die, not theirs. During this time, praise will go out, so the daughters will shoot out praise. You'll see like a kind of a crosshair on the party frame of anyone that's targeted, and those need to be shielded. So an Adloquium or Stone Skin needs to be used on on the prey targets by the time it resolves. So if it resolves and it's shielded, then the mechanic is dealt with and you're good to go. If the shielding is late, or if that person were to take damage and the shield were to either break or just not shield for as much, then the erratic blaster will go off and that person will take a pretty hard hit. So in this case, when we first started, like during progression, what we would do is split the prey targets. So when we were still learning this, I would, I think one of us would go from the top down of a party list, the other would go from the bottom up. So in my case, if myself and Paying were targeted with prey, I would stone skin myself, the scholar would stone skin Paying, or sorry, the scholar would Adloquium Paying, and that's the system we had set up. Eventually we moved towards the scholar just handling the shielding all by herself. And so when the double praise go out, she will Adloquium 1 and then swift cast Adloquium the second prey. So at this point, because she's handling the prey targets, it is my responsibility to make sure the tanks stay alive. So that's pretty much what happens during these ad phases. I'll normally eye for an eye my tank target here, warrior. You can see 2 prey targets go out on ping and YOLO miss. Let me go ahead and rewind just a tad right before they go out. So they go out right now. Let me see. And you can see our scholar is casting a Loquium. It resolves on our monk, and then she swift casts a Loquium, and it resolves on the black mage. So that's how we're handling targets there. Again, their responsibilities. So she's taking care of that. She obviously, in order for those people to be shielded, there's no time for her to be healing during that. So again, it's my responsibility to keep the 2 tanks up during this time. Not really bad. You can see that she's already had an Eloquium on the paladin there. But generally, I'll keep 2 regens up on both tanks. Sometimes a little bit less. I'll just sort of single target heal, but it's really not bad. And as far as mana goes, you can see even with me doing that, I'm popping a shroud, and I'm pretty much back at full mana. So that's another thing. Shroud, you want to pop it early and often, even if it means popping it where the last tick or 2 ends up ticking with you at full mana. Because if that means you get 1 more shroud usage by the end of the fight, or potentially more, that's a really, really good thing during long fights. So it's this fight is not very long, but it's a good habit to get into, not to wait until either you're completely out of mana or you're half mana, or several minutes into a fight. You want to pop it within the first couple minutes of the fight, and then just continually pop it throughout the fight. Make sure you get that extra use out of it, and that'll vary because groups are different in terms of how fast they're able to kill the encounter. So if you're pushing Enrage, then that'll probably be a lot different than, let's say, some of our groups that run. Anyhow, pretty straightforward. During this time, you can deeps. There's no damage going out. Until I think it's Electric Burst here. Yeah, so for Electric Burst, I believe I just seal Med 2. And that hit everyone but the Paladin. Didn't get I got the Black Mage. Okay, so during this phase, you have Heat Lightning and Tether and Charge. Those are like the 3 kind of mechanics you'll have to deal with. And at most you'll get 2 of the 3. And with Heat Lightning, we just spread out around the room. We don't have any sort of set positioning. So from week to week, I'm in a different spot most likely. I don't know if certain groups, they actually set positioning and say, okay, well, you're going to be in this side of the room, you're going to be in that side of the room, and whatever. But we don't ever really use static positioning. It's very, very rare. We're just sort of dynamic. If I end up in one spot and I see that I'm too close to someone, then I'll move somewhere else. And that's the way we've chosen pretty much almost every damn time. So I think for some groups, if for some reason people are having a really difficult time staying apart, especially once the arena gets smaller, then you may want to assign some positioning so people don't get, double Heat Lightning. So that just hit Scholar, Monk, and Black Mage. Now, if I had been standing on the Black Mage, I would have been hit too, and that's why you want to spread out, because it applies a vulnerability debuff, and if you have that, and you're in a part of the encounter where you're actually getting two of the mechanics, you need to make sure that the people are getting hit by lightning, that they're by themselves, because if you're getting multiple people hit by a single lightning, then you won't have enough people without vulnerability stacks to deal with the rest of the mechanics, and then it'll result in people dying. So this is another part of just knowing what's coming. I'm gonna rewind just a little bit. This is a little difficult with Twitch to get rewind like accurate, but let's see what I can do here. So heat lightning. After heat lightning, I know spike flail is coming. Spike flail is the large like tail swipe type ability, and so since that heat lightning went off, you can see that I'm already moving towards the side. Like that has gone off. I kind of anchor towards the middle because I'm generally not going to. I'm responsible for most of the healing. We let our scholar DPS as much as they possibly can. So by anchoring in the center of the room, which is probably the least optimal place to be because of this the spike flail ability, I go there intentionally to just free up space for everyone else. I know it's coming after heat lightning, so I'm already moving even before this cast had started. I'm already moving towards the side here, and I am out before it finishes. So that is, again, just repetition, learning little things that you can do to sort of make sure you're playing and not, mistake free. Just knowing what's coming in advance and moving in advance. Those types of things are important. Same thing in this phase. You see the monk has prey. The scholar again is going to handle all the preys. The only time that I might help with the prey is if there's some sort of something happens. Maybe the scholar dies and like it's just at a really weird time, or she's having to raise someone and just doesn't have enough time to get both off, and she'll say something on TeamSpeak, and I'll go ahead and assist with the praise. So it's really important to just be flexible. In the event that just something weird is happening, you have to be ready to adjust as a healer. You never want to be like, well, that's your responsibility, and be like, well, it's you. I'm definitely not gonna waste a gold ball on that. That's rarely happen. I think it's honestly only happened maybe once or twice, and it was fine. But it's, again, really important. If you see multiple praise go out, or if the fight is going to crap because, whatever's happening, that you just keep your mind open and ready to help out where you can. Very light damage on the tank. So here, we've got the scholar targeted with the charge, which means she's going to be stunned and unable to heal. So anytime there's something like that, if if I know my co-healer is going to be out of commission for a bit, maybe they're raising someone, at that point my mentality is, okay, it's completely on me to keep the group alive. Even if, like right now, it doesn't look like anyone's even close to dying. You have just the tank, a little bit of a health deficit, everyone else is at full. But you never know what could happen. So you just want to be, alright, I may need to step it up here in the event something really weird happens. You notice my positioning though. I'm giving her room. Like, I moved to the back of the room to give her room to run. I'm not just sitting there tunnel visioning health bars, but I'm intentionally moving to the back of the room so she has a clear path to wherever she wants to anchor herself for the charge. So she's now set. You can see wild charge, the cast starting. And what I'm trying to do is position myself as central as I can. And not so much in the room, but towards the middle of the charge where I'm going to AoE heal and try to hit as many people as I can I can't go in the charge because you can see I've got vulnerability debuff from the heat lightning. If I go in there with that, I die like instantly. So here's the charge. You can see I'm pretty close. I'm trying to get as close. Unfortunately, I don't think that's going to hit the black mage because he's way on the other side of the room. At this point, I'm pretty much going to hit everyone else. Oh, he moved. Let's see. Okay. So she gets hit with the damage. And my med 2 actually hit her right as the damage is going off. So let's see. I'm going to play that back just... Damn it, are you serious? Does that... Just... I don't know. I guess because I stream for so long, I can't rewind in smaller increments. So it's like making me rewind like 20 seconds at a time. So again, give her a clear path to the middle. And adjust. And you want this, your AoE heal to hit as the, as close to the damage resolving as possible. Okay, so it hits Caraway, home gangs gets brought down to 1. Bonnie's being hit. Yep, got hit down a little bit lower, I think it's 1200, and my med 2 resolved after. And what I will also do is follow up that cast with the Swift Cast Medical 1. Because as the arena gets smaller, that charge target will get knocked into the glowing stuff, which ticks like a dot. So a single Medica 2 is not enough to keep that person alive at times. Another option is to regen the charge target preemptively. That's another option as well. So I will do that sometimes if for some reason that person is weakened. I'll regen the charge target, and I'll probably still do this. So I med 2 as this damage is going, the charge damage is going off, and then swift cast med 1 just to bring these people up a little bit higher. Unfortunately, with the black mage being so far away, he didn't get any of those heals, but worked out okay. And you see a critical rip again. That it's like a mini death sentence there. I just want to make sure you're always getting a heal off as it's landing on the tank. And again, that's where my UI helps me out. I have the boss on focus target, and it's very easy to see when the boss is doing any sort of a cast. So same thing here. Scholar is taking care of the prey, the shielding, and I am focused on both the tanks. She is helping with the tank. She's not just like twiddling her thumbs, but she's pretty much either shielding, DPSing, and 30 spot heals. That's definitely a lot more work than I'm doing for sure. Difference in this phase is there's actually a third set of ads that spawn once you've killed. It's on a fixed timer, I think. Once you kill this first set of ads, at least the way we have it timed, we have another that spawn, and they spawn on opposite ends of the arena, so it's a little bit of pain for the tank to get to. Now, as far as my positioning goes with these ads, they do like that frontal cone, like electricity stuff that the boss does, and they also do like that, like a mini spike flail, the tail swipe ability. So anchoring kind of towards their flank, or as long as you're kind of on the side of them, you would go. And you should never need ballad on this fight as a white mage if assuming you're not having a crap ton of people die. Then I mean, that's every fight you'll need ballad or something. But if people aren't dying and everyone's executing correctly, you should not need mana ever. Okay, so here we've got tethers on Icy, the bard. You can see the little lightning tether. For this, we have a couple of people that we've assigned in the event that we get the tether charge combo. That okay, these two people are going to go in on the tether, and the rest of the people are going to take the charge. And we have that all worked out. There's no calling it. Those people know, okay, I'm going in tether, the rest of us are going in charge. And we generally have that be the melee. And I usually just do a med 1 with the tether damage. Between that and like sucker, it's normally way more than enough. Another critical rip. Okay, so I have the tether now. So the way we do this is we just have the tether target go to the back of the boss, directly the back. Since the melee need to be in melee range and hit the boss, smack the boss around, we want to make it as easy on them as possible. So we just have the tether target come to the center, or right to the back of the boss, so they can keep hitting the boss while absorbing the tether. In this case, like, let's see here, add one of the melee, hit the charge. So again, since I now have vulnerability from the tether, I cannot get in the charge. It's on pretty much everyone else to get in. The arena is getting smaller, and I can see that he is going to get knocked back into the electricity. So again, I keep that in mind. Med 2. And you can see I actually walk towards him as the cast is resolving. Make sure that, since Medica 1 has a smaller range than Medica 2, I want to make sure that he gets hit by both. So as my Med 2 goes off, I'm running towards, or walking towards, the charge target and swift casting Medica 1. He gets to shoulder tackle in because that's what monks get to do. Not everyone gets to do that. So again, just to make sure, I cast Med 2, make sure it's going off as the charge target is going off. Walk towards as my cast is resolving, swift cast Medical 1, and that will keep that person alive. And that's really the fight right there. I don't think there's really too many other scenarios to go over. That's pretty much all of the mentality that I have with the different mechanics and scenarios and combinations that you can have on this fight. So there, the tank died. He wasn't he got hit by electric, and I think like an auto attack, and he wasn't topped off. And that would be my fault. Yeah, we typically don't have him in Sword Oath. There's really no reason for him not to be in Sword Oath, because it's fine at this point. It's just, you've done this now for like 2.5 months, and you're just so used to, like, this ability is going to do X amount of damage, and I just, I don't think either of us were expecting that. So a little bit of adjustment I think we'll have to make going forward. Just be a little bit more aggressive. So in this case, this is the first time, at least on this attempt, where at least after the first charge, that I don't have vulnerability. So I want to get in as soon as possible, because that means I have more flexibility as to when to start my AoE cast. So charge target. The Med 2 I think was a little early. Yeah, it was a little early, but same thing. Swift cast Med 1, but it was a sealed Medica 2, so the dots or the hots are gonna tick a little bit harder. And that's pretty much turn 10. Those are all the little scenarios, a couple of little tricks and things that I do. Not really tricks, but you know, the approach to the fight. Alright. Turn 11. Let's see here. Did we wipe to this? I don't remember. No.